back to another episode of Tapping into Life. Before we get started, I wanted to just take this opportunity and invite you to join me in taking a nice, easy breath in through your nose. And let's take another breath in. And now just do a nice sigh. Nice. Let's do that one more time. Take a breath in and fill up a little more. And now let it out. Beautiful. I feel like this calls for one more. I like to do things in threes. So let's do another nice breath in. Take another breath. Fill up a little more. And release it out. Beautiful. I felt that was a good way to start because I feel like there's a lot of busy energy going on. We've just, beginning of September, depending on where you are with life, you could be going back to school, you could be starting a new job, or you could be holding space for your kids that have just gone back to school. So I always find September very busy, and depending what your summer was like, it might have been nice and relaxing, or it might have been, a bit of a go-go too. But I always find that September is a very busy, kind of getting back into a routine type of energy. So this episode, I want to talk a little bit about how we can come back into being. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is tapping into being, and being whatever that is for you. So it's really about getting centered and, calming whatever is going on in your head and really connecting back into your heart. And, it's often really hard to do that when there's so much busyness going and we are, maybe feeling pushed and pulled in different directions. So I am so grateful that you are here listening with me, and I'm really excited because I'm going to be doing these podcast episodes on a regular basis. So look forward to listening to them each week. And I'm just excited to, keep bringing you interesting and vulnerable and real conversations with amazing people. And I like to, just extend the invite if you are listening and would like to come on and have a conversation with me, then let's do it. Reach out to my email. I will have that in the show notes. And let's keep the conversation going. And let's be real and vulnerable as much as we can. So let's just keep it real and having fun, but really bringing this forward. So so I'm excited to talk about this with you, and I'm going to share a little bit about my journey and what's been developing for me and kind of opening up as well. So really excited to share. So I'm just going to invite you to, get yourself comfortable in however you're listening to this episode. If you want to grab a cup of tea, I welcome you to do that. If you are, out and walking, great. I just invite you to take this time to tap back into life for yourself. Beautiful. Now on to the episode. So I am so grateful to be here and to share this time and energy with all of you, however and wherever you are listening. And this topic of tapping into being came to me really during a meditation. I do a lot of walking meditating, and also I'm doing a lot of, really getting in to a meditative state, which is really exciting. I've been doing this daily now for the last I would say the last probably 3 weeks now. And wow, it really makes a difference, because those old programming is not as intense in my head. I can feel it really simmering down. So I felt like this was a good conversation to have about tapping into being and what does that mean? And for me, it's really about getting grounded and getting in that centered energy, which is really connecting back to love. There is like so much going on, really, regardless of the time of year. It just depends on what you're feeling like you're being pulled to listen to or feeling obligated to do. And that's something that I have become a lot more aware and awake around. And that is, what am I putting my energy to? And am I giving it away? Which, am I able to, replenish my energy and really, honor where I'm at and take the time for myself? Or am I just keep dishing it out, dishing it out, dishing it out? And I find at this time of year, if depending where you are at, you might have children that have gone back to school. Maybe you have gone back to school yourself, or you've started something new, maybe a new job, a new opportunity. Something is maybe feeling new and it's a new transition. It takes some getting used to. And I am also in a new phase of my life, I guess I would say. So I have recently just left my part-time job. And this was really a bridge job. And what I mean by a bridge job is I was still working on my coaching business and I've been doing, the podcast, but I've been doing this part-time job for 2 years. And it was an amazing part-time job. Amazing. And shout out to Healthy Meats. I learned so much about myself. It's a small business owned by a couple that have owned it for 22 years in Whitby, which is in the Durham region, Ontario, Canada area. And it was so many beautiful, learnings from a small business perspective, learning about, the back end of a business, understanding, how things work, as well as like learning about myself. So even though I was working a part-time job, I was really noticing a lot about myself, how I was showing up. And I was, initially when I first started working in the store, I was really eager to please. I wanted to do a good job and I was, willing to do it however I could. And so I slowly started learning, like I'm burning myself out. I'm extending myself way more than I should be and really starting to put things into perspective. But I should say, very grateful for these learnings because it's gotten me to where I am today, right in this moment. And that's really taught me a lot about being in the being. It's really getting myself grounded. When, I still have that busy energy, and I'll be honest with you, just before doing this episode, I could feel it wasn't like overwhelming energy, but it was like an excited energy, like, oh boy, what are we gonna work on today? And there was like almost like a little girl in a candy store where you're like, "Ooh, I'm so excited. What are we going to do?" And it was like too much. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even like, where do I start? What email do I do first? Who am I connecting with? Like, where am I going? Am I going on Facebook? And it was like little. And my dog was patiently waiting for a walk. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take my dog for a walk and I'm just going to do some tapping and breathing. And I connected to spirit and I just got really grounded. And then when we came back from the walk, I decided I was going to meditate outside. It was really beautiful, quiet, nobody's around, and my dog loves to just lie in the grass. So I thought, perfect. And I got into a beautiful meditation. I definitely had a little bit, like I'm kind of saying, a little voice in the back going, oh boy, like are you sure you want to do this? So a little bit of self-doubt. But the beautiful thing is that I know that these things are still going to show up, but they aren't going to like take over, like I'm not being thrown off my path here because I've got a little bit of self-doubt showing up. And actually, I'm really grateful that these parts of me show up. So I was like, it's okay. I noticed I made a mistake on a post I made. It's like, wow, actually, that's okay. It's part of, we're human, you can fix this. Like, there was this ease in my body, and I could feel this compassion and this love for myself, and definitely kindness. And so this is where I was like, wow, that's a big shift. But you can notice that when you have really calmed the system down. When you're in your head and it's like buzzing around like crazy, like you've got almost like bees buzzing around your head, it's really hard to be within yourself. And I noticed, as I was making this transition to leaving this part-time job and really embracing my business full time and, really showing up for it, I had to really work through a lot of, my self-doubt, my inner critic, but also a lot about my worth, and really noticing that that I thought I had worth for myself. I mean, I felt like I deserved a lot of things, but when I really got deep into it, I realized that I wasn't really seeing my worth fully. And so it was easy for me to go to other things. It was easy. Like the part-time job had its, challenges because it was somewhat of a physical job, but it was easy because I could go and I didn't have to like worry about my own stuff. I could just go and do whatever they needed me to do. But at the same time, while I was doing this part-time job, as I started to, evolve and figure things out for myself, I realized also that I keep putting myself to the side. And maybe that's happening to you, or maybe it's not, but maybe there's something that has been tugging at you and you've been like, yeah, I kind of want to do that. Maybe I want to travel. Maybe I want to, create a side hustle, or I do want to leave my job. There might be those thoughts going on, but this but takes over and it makes you feel like, yeah, that's not going to work. And what I've noticed is that that's a lot of old programming. And what I've been able to do is interrupt that old programming. And so when I've done that, it just shuts it right down and I connect back to the heart. So I noticed that when I'm getting in my head, and I'm a Gemini rising, so I didn't realize how much I'm in my head. And maybe, this is something you can relate to as well, is that you're a big thinker. And I noticed that I'm thinking about all these things and it's like draining me. And then I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, what do I do next? Like, how do I even do this? So I think one of the things, that I have been consciously making efforts to do and show up for is connect to my breath, and then connect to my heart. Because once I feel the connection in my heart, then that settles down my head. When we're trying to connect to the head, it's like busy, busy, busy. There's thoughts coming in and out, and it's really hard to settle the body. The body is what we want to feel safe, and then it goes up into the brain, which then says, oh, we don't have to have this fight or flight radar going. We're actually okay. So we can then kind of just take it down a notch. And that's when I've noticed I have been able to just be. And giving myself permission to just be where I'm at is so huge, and is such a relief. It takes so much pressure off ourselves. I mean, especially as women, whether you're a mother or not, we tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I was catching myself, not realizing, oh my gosh, I am putting so much pressure on myself. And then I realized, oh, I'm still doing it in these different areas of my business. There's definitely nothing wrong with wanting to do a good job. But when you are really putting that, like really pressing down and really, judging and being so hard on yourself, then that's where we're not, we're not doing, we're not being, worthy to ourselves. We're actually being the opposite. And it's catching ourselves and recognizing when we are having these moments, because oftentimes when these things are stirring up, is there most likely a younger part of us that, maybe is still stuck in that type of programming, and we need to connect and heal that part of us. So the being is really connecting to your breath, slowing yourself down so that you can feel your body. And there are so many amazing practices to do that, right? It's like, the breath is everything. So maybe you are driving in your car and you are, feeling the pressure to get to work or get home to pick up your kids, or, you're trying to get to an appointment, whatever might be going on, that you're feeling that urgency, that pressure. I know I'm in those situations myself. I will often just turn the music right off. Like there's no music, and I'm just focusing obviously on driving. That's very important, but I'm just being aware of my breathing, right? I'm like listening to my breathing. I'm hearing myself breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. And I might even sigh, like, ah. And that actually helps to regulate your nervous system. When you do 2 breaths in through your nose and then you exhale it with a sigh through your mouth, that actually helps to regulate your nervous system. So maybe give that a try. But one of the things sometimes in this busyness, we have to capture these little moments of being. And that might mean when I get to my destination, I take 30 seconds, or maybe even, I don't even have 30 seconds. Maybe I have 10 seconds. And I'm just going to take some breaths. And when you're breathing, it's really about connecting to your heart and really feeling that breath filling up from your chest all the way up. And then you're exhaling it out. And, it can be helpful too, to, when you're breathing out, what is it you want to release? Like as you're, ah, is there frustration? Is there, anger? Is there sadness? Are you irritated? Like, what is it that you feel like needs to come out, and give it permission to come out? We need to do that. And then set an intention. Because at any time it's a choice, right? We can choose how we want to be. But if we're running around and we're going from one thing to the next, we aren't being, we're doing, and we're just going. And so what happens is we are losing us, we're losing ourselves. So we need to slow this down, connect back, and then this craziness up here will slow right down. And that's, for me, how I like to tap back in, because all this stuff going on out here is a lot. And sometimes it could be just a lot in your family. Maybe you have to run around and take your kids to different appointments, to play different activities. Maybe your work schedule is really demanding. But if we are not taking the time to give that support back to ourselves, then we're just running out, like we're running low on our battery, and it's going to eventually stop on us. It's going to stop working. And then we're going to go, where did this come from? Like, how did this happen? How is it my back gave out? How is it that, I've got these, abdominal issues? How did this happen? Like, why? Because we're not connecting and being with ourselves. We're pushing so much shit down that we can't actually feel anything. So your body finally says, enough's enough. I'm shutting this down. You need to take care of yourself. So let's take some time, little moments at a time throughout your day, where you can check in and just be, even if it's 10 seconds, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. You deserve this. You do deserve this. And whether maybe while you're hearing this, maybe you're thinking, that's all fine and dandy, but yeah, I don't believe this. I don't have time for this. That's okay. You will figure this out when the time is right. Maybe it's when you go to bed, you take that little bit of time for yourself to connect inward, connect to your heart, connect to your body. Oftentimes, if you are somebody that walks, or if you're exercising, maybe you go to the gym and stuff, have you ever thought of like checking in with your body and noticing or listening to like what's your body telling you? If you're going to do a workout, what parts of your body feel, activated in a good way to do the workout? Or are there parts of your body that are like, oh my gosh, please don't. Like, I don't know how we're going to do this. The more we pay attention and tune in, the more we're going to be. That's how we take care of ourselves. Not all out here in the busy craziness. We actually have to quietly go inward. And so these are just some of the little tricks that I use. Obviously, I do my tapping. Sometimes I will just tap, or I will press and release. Press and release if I'm going to bed, because I find this a little bit too much stimulation for my body. So I just press and release, and I'm really focusing on my breath as I'm doing it. So I'll breathe in, and then as I breathe out, I'm releasing. Breathe in and release. And like I noticed for myself around my eyes, the eyebrow, this is a really nice way. Just move your hands across. You go in the center of your forehead and take your fingers across your forehead. And then you can either shake your hands off, or you can go to the ends of basically where your temples are, and then around the back of your ears, along your jawline, and then down right into your heart. And like, that feels so good. Like, I actually feel like I'm getting back into my body when I do that. And I'll do it a couple of times, just feel that connection back in along my jaw and back coming into my heart. Another really good one that I like and I've recommend to clients is you can put, doesn't matter which hand, but one opposite hand on your shoulder and then the other one underneath your armpit. And you're just, it's like you're giving yourself a hug. And breathe, right? We don't take enough breaths. We are probably shallow breathing most of the time. And so the more you can tune into your breath and be like, consciously breathing, right? So you're actually paying attention to the breath you're taking in through your nose and then exhaling it out through your mouth makes such a difference. And actually visualize it filling up your lungs, supporting your system, and then exhaling it out through your mouth. Such a beautiful way. And it could be like you do it twice and you're going to feel like so much better because you're actually getting yourself, slowing yourself down and supporting your mind and body. That's what you need. That's what your body needs. So if you're feeling this like buzzing, oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts going on in my head. And, maybe I can't go to my yoga practice or I can't go get my massage, then take a few minutes, wherever you are, as long as you're not driving, and take your breath in through your nose, connect to your heart, close your eyes, because this was a beautiful, I liked how this was worded. I did a women's circle and the facilitator said, close your outside eyes and open your inside eyes. And I was like, oh, wow, I love that. Because when we close the exterior part, we can now open up the interior and we can see things inwardly, right? And if you're not in that place where you can't necessarily see things, that's okay. The more you take the time to connect and slow down and connect to your heart, because that's what it's all about. It's all about the love. Then that will happen for you as well. So I hope that you take some time, even seconds, to tap into being for yourself, right? For nobody else. Nobody else is watching. Nobody else is needing this. It's just for you to be for you, being with you. And, as you're listening to this, and this is something you're like, yeah, I know I need to do this, but it's really hard to find the time. I've just got so much on the go. Sometimes we are doing these types of strategies because it's easier to keep doing what we know than to try something we don't, because it's unsure, right? That's where our fear comes in. And it's like, yeah, we don't need to do that. We're good. We've got this. And if you're hearing that voice where it's like, oh yeah, we don't need this, we don't need to do any of these things, then I invite you to be curious. What is that? What is that telling you? Like, what is that about? Is there something that maybe you're kind of afraid to look at? Because if I go in, am I going to start to feel, and oh my gosh, I don't know if I know how to do that. Or is it going to be too much? Am I going to be feeling too much? And I'm not like, oh, that's too much. I'm not going to have the capacity, right? So you have to recognize what you're capable of in the moment. And even if it's just giving yourself a little bit more breath, that may be where you start. And if you're like, no, actually, I've been doing that and I need to go deeper, then amazing. The more you go in, open those inward eyes and close the outward eyes, you will start to pay attention, because The ears will be listening in, not listening out here to this distraction out here. And you'll start to notice what your body is trying to tell you. And it won't be a guessing game of figuring it out. It'll be, oh, that's what's going on. Thank you. And I always, encourage when, like, this is something I do, and I always, make the suggestion of when you've received whatever your higher source is, that you always say thank you, right? Because then you're coming from a place of gratitude. And that is very high vibration. And that's what we want, right? That's where we want to be. That's where we're going to be the healthiest, the happiest. And these are journeys, right? This is a journey of life. So it's going to have its ups and flows, and we're going to learn how to maneuver it. And that's what tapping into being, in my opinion, is all about, right? Is really noticing where you're at, how you're feeling. Maybe today I need a little more hugs. Maybe I need to take more breaths because I'm finding I'm just rushing, and I'm not taking in my actual breath. So I just invite you to listen to what your inside voice is telling you, that beautiful voice, your intuition, your higher self that is really trying to connect with you. And that's you being. So thank you again for listening to another episode of Tapping into Life. It is such an honor and privilege to be here and holding this energy and time and connecting with you all. I know that's what tapping into life is all about. So please share if you feel this episode or any of the episodes feels aligned and you want to pass it on. I'm so grateful. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please, I would so greatly appreciate it. It just helps us to get this out to more and more viewers, and that's what this is all about. I also want to share with you, I'm super excited that I am starting a tapping circle for women that will be offered online. So I will put the details in the show note. And it is starting on Wednesday, September 11th at 7 p.m. And that is in Eastern Standard Time. So depending on where you are in the world. And that will be a 7-week series. So what that means is that you can drop in for 1 or 2 or all 7. It's really whatever works for you. The other thing too is that you will have to go to the link in the meetup to register, but I will put all of that in the show notes. And this is a group where it's really a circle about coming together as women. It's about creating community, which is connection. And it's about really softening and quieting down that busyness and connecting to our body and to our mind in a loving way. So yes, I will be doing tapping as well as breathing and meditating in these circles. So there will be lots of great modalities used that you can use, not just during this time. That's one of my goals is that these are tools that you can, adapt and use at different times. But it is something to, provide connection. And I think it's really important. I feel we as women want to come together and support each other and share energy together. And this is, if you've never done tapping before, if you've been curious about tapping, or maybe you are like a master tapper, I welcome all of it. I welcome all of you because this is where we are going to benefit from everybody's energy. So come and let's, spend time together, tapping into each other and connecting our energy. And yeah, I'll look forward to hopefully seeing you in the circle as well in the next episode. So thank you so much. Take care. Many blessings. Bye for now.